Tours of all ages. You are about to witness the greatest comic book conservation live show in the Alpha Quadrant. Welcome to the Comic Book Conservators. What's up, y'all?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
It's me, Dr. Paul, Liberty Hill Comics. I am broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the Texas Hill Country. I got my two best buds with me. We got big announcements to make. I'm hyped.
We do. We have some big stuff.
We do. Captain, why don't you say hi to everybody? Looks like you're home.
I am home. Yeah, it's an unusual thing for me, but yes, I am home. I'm at the madhouse. I've got books everywhere. I've got projects everywhere. I'm just trying to catch up. So yeah, I'm home for a little bit.
Wow, that's nice. Good to see you in your own digs.
Yeah, I like that.
That's Captain Leary, he of Flying L Comics. Check him out here on YouTube. If you need to get a hold of him, check him out on Instagram.
Instagram's the best way to find me, folks. If you have any questions, be happy to help you out with any of your projects that you may be doing. But our real experts are these guys up here too.
Oh,
well, one of us anyway.
Go talk yourself down.
Bill, say hi to the folks.
Hey, everybody.
He of Phantom Comic Studios.
Indeed. As always, coming to you live from the border of Brooklyn and Queens here in New York City. And that's not where I was this morning. I was down in Florida and made it back to New York City this morning on one of the last flights before they grounded planes. And because there was a raging snowstorm.
I was wondering about that. You said you're in Florida. I'm just like, you got a little bit of a snow thing going on right now.
Yeah, I didn't get much of a tan, as you can see. I'm still ghostly pale.
Well, it's cold. It's cold in Florida. I mean, I was looking at the forecast. It's going to be like, I think on Tuesday it's going to be in the 30s in Florida.
Dip it down, yeah.
Which means it's going to be real cold where you're at.
Yep, I got a few 70-degree days in though, which were nice.
I was working on my tan today, guys.
Oh, nice. As always, too, you can find me at Phantom Comic Studios on Instagram, or as of right now, phantomrestoration.com will bring you to the website. You can send me an email there or a DM on Instagram. And
now, Phil, are you going to change your website name?
Yeah, that's something that I've been meaning to follow up on. It hasn't been an issue in having people reach out to me still. So while absolutely necessary to do, it's just something that I haven't been able to make the time to do yet. And I really do need to get that done because it can seem a bit confusing, maybe. So,
and I was really happy to see Dr. Paul put something out. He did an unboxing this week.
He sure did.
He did.
Maybe we'll see some projects coming up pretty soon.
I promised some folks some updates on a few old projects and some new ones. Yeah. We're doing a lot of stuff, a lot going on, and I'm excited to share it. We're gonna do a show in one main segment, and we're gonna have some big announcements at the end. So you guys already saw the thumbnail. We got
I did. Yes, I am on board.
We got a big book to talk about today. Big book. I'm excited about it. And then we have some even bigger announcements. So I don't know if you're not interested in Batman, then skip ahead to that or come back. But you don't want to miss what we have to talk about after the A segment.
We got some big stuff coming up, guys.
Yeah. Big changes for the show and big announcements for the show. So
we're all going to charge you money to watch us now.
Oh, well, that's not true. Speaking of money, let's thank this show's sponsors. If you're watching this show live, you're watching it ad-free thanks to the following gentlemen: Salesboy Comics, Don Carter, Chaos, and Gorilla Monkey 3K. We very much appreciate your sponsorship, and the viewers do as well. Check them out. Check out their channels. Check out their work, and enjoy their generosity when you watch the show live. Speaking of, thank you so much. We have our first sponsor for next episode.
Yay!
by the way, is going to be a very special episode. You're going to find out about that at the after the conclusion of the A block. Thank you, Collecting Chaos. Go check out Collecting Chaos, by the way, here on YouTube. He's posting the end video for his Casper 147 project tomorrow. If you are somehow foolish enough to not be subscribed there, go subscribe and check that out. We're looking forward to it. Thanks for
Don Carter. Thank you.
and thank you,
Thanks, Don.
Carter. Appreciate the sponsorship. Next episode is already in good hands. Let's do a few more shout outs. Let's see. Obviously, Collecting Chaos is here. Dylan, Salesboy Comics, is keeping it moist. Don Carter's here.
Thanks, Salesboy.
Mike is here. You Pluck My Last Comics here. John Bingham of Lucan is here. And Salesboy also with the sponsorship. Thank you so much. We are going to jump right into this A block because I put a lot of extra content into it, and then we're going to roll into those announcements for the show. So this beautiful comic sold this past week, and I was thrilled to see it because I'd like to talk about comics we haven't talked about before, and this one is one that I just love. I think it's one of the best Silver Age rogues for Batman. I think there's only one in true competition in terms of the actual Silver Age rogues. We'll talk about that, and you guys can give your opinions, and I'll tell you where to stuff them, or get your own show. I'm just kidding. Obviously, I want to hear what you have to say. You Pluck My Last Comic. Thank you so much. Look, we have all of the regulars already sponsoring next episode, and they don't even know what they're sponsoring yet, which is so
I know
exciting.
it could be nothing.
They're going to be
really
the inaugural sponsors of a very important show that they don't even know yet. So that's kind of hype. All right, so we'll chat about this book, but first I want to put it in context. So this particular book is actually published.
I love when you do these. It's great seeing the numbers
So this is February of '59. This is very early Silver Age. So we talked about DC's Silver Age. We talked about how the fact that the Silver Age started in DC, but it didn't really. It smoldered for a long time, right? So you have the first appearance of Martian Manhunter in '55. It's a kind of an odd book because it doesn't really fit in. Now, these are just the ones where Julius Schwartz and team built the Justice League. So I've only included those here. There's obviously other books that are important in this time period. But so Martian Manhunter in November of '55. Then October of '56, you have what is almost everybody regards as the first Silver Age book, the start of the Silver Age. And that is the relaunch of the Flash, but it's not the Golden Age Flash. It's a new Flash. He has a new name. He has a new origin. And he does acknowledge the existence of the Golden Age Flash. But it's more sci-fi, right? And this was, again, Julie Schwartz was the architect of the Silver Age. And you have that one issue. And then you have 3 years later, Green Lantern relaunched in Showcase, and that's a big gap, right? So this is why I say the Silver Age smoldered. It didn't really take off and go gangbusters immediately. John Bingham of Lucan, thank you so much. Count me in on next week. Again, the trust that these people are giving us is astounding.
Thank you, everybody. That's great. Thank you so much.
We can really go in a left direction. They have no idea.
So in this 3-year gap, you have things that are happening. And remember that Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman all had their titles continuous from without a gap from the gold to the silver age. It turns out actually Green Arrow and Aquaman also published during that time. Green Arrow continuously, but not in his own title, over in Adventure Comics. So in this gap is when things are smoldering, when they start to revamp Batman's rogues. Okay. And then to round this out, first Aquaman in the Silver Age here, February of 61, and first Justice League, March of 1960 with Brave and the Bold 28. And then you have their second and their third appearances, and then a short gap, and then we launched Justice League of America 1. This is the book that eventually begets Fantastic Four 1, which eventually begets Avengers 1 3 years later. So Fantastic Four approximately 1 year after Justice League of America 1, and Avengers 1 2 years after that. So that is how the Silver Age kind of rolls out over at DC. So to put it in context, again, here between Showcase 5, where you get the first appearance of the Silver Age Flash in 1956, Barry Allen, he will go on. Oh, thanks. Sorry, I do appreciate that. He will go on. I mean,
or they should. You should be paying attention, everyone.
It's true. He will go on eventually to be relaunched in his own title, and they will keep the Golden Age numbering. So the Golden Age Flash comics finished with issue 104, and his title will be it'll be retitled The Flash, and it will launch with 105. Okay. But again, between this gap, October 56 to October 59, we have this book, Batman 121. So while the Silver Age is smoldering, Batman was published continuously, but they start reintroducing some of the Golden Age rogues, and they reintroduce a whole pile of new rogues for Batman during this time period. So interestingly to me, Batman 121, it's actually, because it's still a large book, it's still an anthology. There's 3 Batman stories here, and the Mr. Zero, who eventually become Mr. Freeze, the Mr. Zero story is actually the 3rd story in the title, written by Dave Wood and drawn by Sheldon Moldoff. The 2 of them are credited with co-creating Mr. Zero / Mr. Freeze. Dave Wood, for those of you, I think he also introduced us to Dial H for Hero and Animal Man, probably the other 2 characters he's best known for. Cover art by Kurt Swan. There was no guarantee that we were going to get Mr. Zero on the cover, right? Because this is the 3rd story in the book. So we lucked out, because a lot of, especially in the Golden Age, and this is definitely a transition book, it's still published in the 50s. A lot of Golden Age rogues in particular, but even heroes, are not necessarily on the cover. So that makes this a particularly good issue for people who like to get their books slabbed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a little history of Batman's Silver Age rogues, especially with an emphasis on the reintroduction of the Golden Age rogues. But before I jump into it, thoughts, comments, favorites?
Yeah, I'm happy as a clam just listening right now.
Likewise. I mean, I hate Batman, so I don't like
Right?
Yeah, you're a Robin. You like Robin. Everybody likes Robin.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
we got a comment.
Larry,
We got a comment last week,
I
Larry,
was gonna
chastising
mention
you for making fun of Robin and making fun of Tech 38.
I'm
Can I-
sorry. I just
This is
Can
not
I
your kettle of
clarify on
fish.
that? Can I clarify on that? I mean, I don't want to speak.
It's your
for you,
show,
Larry,
man.
But just to the person that left that comment, there's a thought, I guess, in the hobby that some people have that it's called the pre-Robin period for a reason. We'll say it like that. So it's really like it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it is really acknowledging a delineation in the character. Like it really is like the Batman before Robin came, and then when he came, it kind of just became more of the Adam West before it was really, the TV show.
Yeah, because it was campy.
Yeah. So we're just acknowledging that and poking fun, and that's all.
Joining us is Jim from Bronzeville Comics. The Professor Peter Alachi's here. JCP is here. Welcome all.
I have Mike over here on my channel. So
yeah, I noticed that.
Nice.
It's great.
Nice.
So we got Batman 121, February of 59, 1,000 copies in the CGC census. These are universal copies. Very difficult book. I'll show you the median grade in a little bit, but it's typically low, as we tend to see for the Silver Age. Over in Tech, and I think it's Tech 298. This is the only one of these 7 books I'm going to show you that I don't own. You get a relaunch of Clayface. This is a kind of a new Clayface because powers are a little different and it's a different person. So you could think of that as for Silver Age Clayface, right? So of course, Mr. Freeze, this is his one and only. This is not a revamped Golden Age. He's a Silver Age original. I am going to argue he's one of 2 truly great Silver Age originals. And you guys can at me. Batman, help me out. What is this? 155 for Silver Age Penguin. There was not a huge gap, as I recall, between the last Golden Age and first Silver Age Penguin story. This is May of 63. Again, over 1,000 in the CGC census. The Batman 171 is the reintroduction of the Riddler. This was a big gap. So Riddler, if I remember correctly, only has 2 Golden Age appearances, maybe. And there's at least a decade. It could be 12. It could be 17 years. Somebody in the chat can let us know. Long gap between the Riddler's last Golden Age appearance and the Riddler's first Silver Age appearance here. Over 1,800 universal in the CGC census.
Quite a lot. That book was the catalyst for the TV show beginning too. A little fun fact.
I did not know that. Little Edward Nigma for you. And then in May of 66, you get the most important issue ever published, numbered 181. Much more important than Marvel put out years later. Batman 181, you get this just incredible Carmine Infantino, Murphy Anderson introduction of Poison Ivy, with the dynamic duo ready to kill each other over this chick. And if you find a raw copy, check the centerfold because it's a pinup and it is often ripped out. So make sure that you're not ripped off. And check to confirm that any raw copies of Batman 181 have that. 4,000 in the census. Killer book. Yeah. And again, an original villain, an original rogue in the Silver Age. We're going to get back to Bronzeville's comment in a moment, but let me wrap up the other 2 on this slide. Catwoman makes a really bizarre first Silver Age appearance. Again, after a long absence, I think it's many years in between her last Golden Age and her first Silver Age. She makes her first appearance over here in a bizarre story in Superman's Girlfriend Lois Lane number 70. Really weird. They trick Superman into making out with one of the chicks because she's wearing a mask. And it never occurs to Superman he might use his X-ray vision to just confirm who he's kissing. So weird. Anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, it was the Silver Age, and that's a good lead-in to what we want to talk about next. It is actually a a wonderful cat fight. They are cat fighting over the boys, so I highly recommend it. And then wrapping up the reintroduction of Golden Age rogues in the Silver Age, you have the Go-Go Dots and a new Scarecrow in somebody needs to help me with the number on that one. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Is it like 221 or something?
I remember that. I remember
anyway,
that cover though.
January of 67, 2,400 in the census for that book. So these are the two primary new rogues, Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, and the reintroduction of the Golden Age rogues that become really the rogues gallery for Batman. There are a bevy of other cornball, weird stuff.
Yeah.
Jim mentioned Polka Dot Man. There's Calendar Man. There's Kite Man.
Butterfly Man.
There's so many ridiculous rogues introduced. Some of them in more recent times have actually made a comeback, and they found a way to make them serious. Obviously, we saw Polka Dot Man in a somewhat serious role in the Suicide Squad movie. Up through the era that I read, through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, none of them had a revival worth talking about yet. So they were all kind of relegated to the laughing stock of the 60s campy period. So there it is in context. And I'll show my copies of these books off in a little bit when we get a break. But with that background, I wanted to dive deeper into Batman 121. So again, this is the first major Silver Age rogue for Batman. He stood the test of time, and only 1,070 in Universal. You see that relatively low distribution of grades with a median grade at 4.0. It's a tough book. It's a tough book and high grade. It's tough to see anything over an 8, frankly, in this. It's just, it's, to me, a really great book. It enjoys quite a bit of market cap. Here are the data from Go Collect. So because there's 1,000 of these in the census, it's actually relatively easy in 3.0 to find past sales. So in the trailing 12 months, we've had 10 issues sold in public marketplaces. The 1-year average is 1,826, with a low of 1,400, a high of 2,336. The 90-day average is 1,678, with that low of 1,400 and a high of 2,175. And the 30-day average is 1,400 with this low of 1,400. That data point, I believe, skewed Go Collect's data, and these are Go Collect's data here, and kind of unnecessarily so. So I looked up that sale of 1,400. It was an inexperienced seller on eBay that put it on eBay with a buy it now for 1,400, I think well below the true market. So for the purposes of our calculations, I actually used the 1-year average. And you'll note that 1,400 drags the 30-day down, it drags the 90-day down, and it drags the 1-year average all down. So I didn't want to discount it entirely, but I did want to not put too much weight on it. So I used the 1-year average of 1,826. Again, you'll note the high for the trailing 12 months is 2,336. Record sale for this book in this grade is actually $2,921. That's basically $3,000 for a 3.0. So you can kind of just think about this as you're going to pay $1,000 a point for this book until you get up around the 6s and 7s, and then it's going to start to go nonlinear because there's just so few in higher grade. But by any measure, it is quite a quite a key. What do you guys think? Anybody want to call it a grail?
I'm not going to go that far. It's
Yeah.
it's a good book. It's introduction of a key character, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it a grail.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on what the books you're buying are. To some people, I guess a $3,000 3.0 could be the most they've ever spent on a book, and that could be a grail. But I think I'm kind of with Larry. I think it's grail gets thrown around so much. We can absolutely at least acknowledge this as a definitive key. I think this one, along with 181, is the most important Silver Age. One of the most important Silver Age.
Yeah,
Batman
it's a key book. Yeah.
And one side thing I'll say, that this is totally just in my head, and that could be totally wrong, and someone tell me right now that I am wrong and why I'm wrong. But I've noticed a trend in this book where I feel like I see copies with water damage more often than you would otherwise. And I think that, unless I'm mistaken, the reason for that is that this book was on stands in December, and it was just
it was wintertime,
the snowy winter months, and that is one of the reasons that copies were more susceptible to getting wet. I don't know if that's just me being like, oh, maybe, but just something I noticed about this.
Well, it sounds good.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can't. I don't know how you'd be able to prove it one way or the other, but it seems like it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, I thought maybe it's people storing it in the freezer.
No, not true.
Collecting Chaos, congrats on the Batman 181. Just killer book. Killer book. Also, I completely agree with you on Batman 232.
Awesome.
I almost brought mine out to show off, but I thought we'd cut this conversation off at the Silver Age, so we'll save that for another day, maybe a rainy day in December.
But a nod to that beautiful Neil Adams cover that he's talking about. If you know, you know.
Remember I mentioned to you that Flash gets his own title. There's a full one-page ad in this book for Flash 105, the relaunch in the Silver Age of Flash's self, the eponymous title. All right, so here are the CGC notes. This issue was graded in January of 2026. So, I mean, it was basically came back from grading and was immediately sold. It is conserved, as we noted. The conservation includes cover cleaned. That's it. Reader notes indicate moisture damage, whole book through book, moderate color lift to the cover, staple tears, and rusted staples. So as per your sort of heads up, Phil, water damage.
I was just saying something I've noticed. That's all.
Yeah. Likely when you're only done cover cleaned, when you got hit with cover cleaned, likely you were not trying to get a conserved grade. That's
my suspicion as well.
You probably should have cleaned the staples or just replaced them.
You can see the ink loss on the cover.
Yeah. And you probably could have done a better job of removing moisture in the interior wraps, moisture damage, I should say. That said, we don't know for sure. We just know here we are, and the book is a 3.0 because the cover was cleaned. It is conserved. Here's a look at that cover, and you can see in this upper left like a pretty extreme loss of color, right? Like
it was
a bleaching almost, right?
Well, this is an example of I believe this is wet cleaned, and these DC books from that era, just the ink just leaps off the pages, and I have personal experience on this one.
It probably too, if there was moisture damage through the whole book,
Yes. Yeah, that also caused it.
the inks on the cover where the sizing was probably removed. So if this person washed it without resizing the cover areas, it's possible that the cleaning also removed some of the color.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a stain there, so you took the stain out, but it was at the expense of taking some of the color.
I could tell by that this was washed just by how the ink has been lifted off of it, and it's over white.
The faded 12/2 date mark that I just noticed too.
I was just going to bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see right underneath the Batman logo to the right in the ice stalactites, mites. Somebody let me know.
One goes up, one goes down. I don't know.
You see the remnants of a 12-2. So this was probably the on-stand date. This was the 2nd of December, 1958. Remember, this is cover dated February of 59, which means it hits the stands probably at least 60 days before that.
Yeah.
I would also, that said, and I agree with you guys, that's most likely situation. This could just be all water damage as like a bug, not a feature. And sometimes a water damaged book will get tagged as cleaned by CGC.
I've had that happen. I've had that happen before. The only reason that I would say that it's more likely not is because of the dull ink and the date that we just talked about, and the only way you would really
completely
get that
agree.
Is with but it is definitely I've experienced that before. I believe the single time I ever had a book come back that I did one of my non-restorative baths on, it was pegged for being clean, but really it just had prior moisture damage. So once they changed the label back to universal. But it's understandable that sometimes CGC, if they're grading the book, it sits in front of them, they have to determine that.
So we've talked about it before, but they use a number of tells, right? So unnatural color would be one, unnatural texture, incorrect stiffness of the paper, incorrect cover gloss, shrinkage of the cover. All of these are tells, right? And the more of them you have, the more likely you're going to get hit with cover cleaned. But again, some of them can occur just by regular exposure to water because the comic at some point was not protected from the elements or whatever. That said, again, in this instance, I agree with both of you. The most likely explanation for this condition is, in fact, that it was a cover cleaned, as CGC denoted it. Nevertheless, it's complete. It's together. You can read it. Here's the back.
Oh, it's got a spine roll.
It does have quite a spine roll.
For what it's worth, too, the color scheme on the front, if you kind of squint your eyes and you just look at it real quick, it looks pretty good. I mean, but once upon further looks, you can kind of
listen. It doesn't have any chunks missing. It doesn't have like major rips.
Yeah,
it actually presents pretty well. I'd be proud to own this book. This is a nice book.
Yeah.
Hey Jason, welcome to the show, my man. Welcome to the show.
Muxor has a valid question here. Let's see if we can address that.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, so CGC stance is they do allow tape in a universal grade, but there's a limit on how much tape, of course, and there's a maximum grade of which escapes me for right now. But yeah, tape is allowed. Now, if we do remove that tape, which you should, just to preserve the book, and we do a repair with Japanese paper, it will get a conserved grade. So it's kind of a coin toss. You can also do archival tape in doing the repair. That would make a pass as well. You still get the universal grade.
Yeah. To be clear, when you say you see some with purple for tape, there's there's something else that is making
Yeah,
it
there's
purple.
something
Not,
else. Yeah.
not the tape. Tape by itself will never trigger a restored grade from CGC.
No, there was something else there.
Also, tape is treated as a defect, so it does lower the grade. But if you're going to reattach something, you might want to just say, well, what would be the loss to the grade for chip missing from the corner versus the loss to the grade by adding tape?
Can I say
Most
one
of the times
caveat?
it's not worth adding it, but
Yeah,
depends.
tape is bad. Really only do it on like a really low value book or something that you know, maybe a reading copy or something. That as much as I agree a lot with CGC, one thing I don't really agree with, and we've talked about before, is they do kind of incentivize using tape in cases like, you know, like Larry just said too, tape is acceptable and universal, but if you do the same thing with the conservation stance in mind, you get pegged with a objectively lesser label than universal is conserved from an equity point of view, which is
But you will have a
unfortunate.
higher grade.
Correct.
You'll have a higher grade, but so you'll have to weigh the value in the higher grade versus the conserved label. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Muxor.
Can I say one caveat that I've noticed too is that it's one instance that I've seen where tape would get a purple label is when someone uses strips of archival tape to mend tears or to reinforce its staples. So it is then really serving a purpose beyond just reattaching something, and they don't view it necessarily as tape. They view it as something that is mending or reinforcing. So
I actually
it's a technical catch.
I talked to Matt about that, and he said it's just because they can't tell sometimes.
Exactly.
So he said if you trim your archival tape, they can essentially goof and call it mending, and then it gets conserved or restored. So he recommended that if you are going to use archival tape, use full width and don't trim it, because it's essentially, it leads them to make errors because they only can view the book in front of them, right? They don't know the history.
But it will show tape on interior or some other tape note.
Right. But it's accidentally in the restored label. It shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be. If it
Real
is,
Monkey
there's something
3K,
else.
welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. We gave you kudos earlier. Oh, here we go. Back cover. Again, I would be thrilled to own this book. Nice book. So, for those of you joining late, or for those of you that forgot because we chatted all along the way, I used the 12-month trailing average of 1,826 as my pivot point for universal value. What do you think this book sold for in the last week on a true auction with many bidders? Who wants to guess?
I am going to abstain because I know the answer.
I'll play the game and I'll let people in the chat.
Chat.
guesses.
Come on, help me out.
While they're doing that, just to go over these last two questions. One is kind of reiteration, but yes, to clarify, yes, as long as the tape you use looks like tape that CGC is inspecting, then it should pass as universal. I would say that we generally always advise against tape, but we do understand that there are cases where, from an equity perspective, it does make sense. So, and then the other one is something that I've advocated.
It's a can of worms.
So, yes, also, it can be easier said than done. Like, you kind of need things to line up perfectly to do this. And in this, you're not really, you're doing what the book will allow you to do. So it's got to be like a nice lap tear. There has to be enough fibers. It can be challenging to do it, but it can work in some cases. Yes.
Yeah. So strictly speaking, they're not supposed to allow it. That said, it's very difficult to detect, depending on how you apply it and what you do after. I think Jason's question here is very relevant to the correct answer, which is, what are you trying to do with methyl cellulose? Are you just, if you're trying to mend a rip, you're probably not going to get away with it. Although you might, depending on exactly where it is and how the fibers lay. If you're using it to adhere Japanese paper somewhere, that is not universal work. That's definitely conserved work. If you're using it to sort of try to regloss something, again, it's going to depend on how detectable it is by CGC.
Yeah. In my experience, it's not very detectable. So really, I mean, if you can reattach a piece that's detached because of a little bit of a lap tear, and you can do it with methyl cellulose over tape, not only is it it's the best thing that you can do, because tape is not good and methyl cellulose is safe for the book. So.
All right. We got the Professor at 1200, Collecting Chaos at 1370, Pluck My Last Comic 1350, Salesboy at 1250, John Bingham of Lucan 1200. Cardtail, welcome to the show. Just gonna play the odds anywhere from 900 to 1600. Gorilla Monkey 3Ks at 1300. Hey, Billy Pilgrim, welcome to the show. JCP's at 900. Jason's at 1199. I don't think that's how we usually play the game. Sort of defeating himself, but okay. Don Carter's at 900. And Phil, you were going to
1800. I love this book. I think that this book went for I think it went for real close to 2/3 of its universal value. That's
18 honey. That's what you're saying. Yeah. Any other guessers before we do the reveal? Jason gets in there with the Price is Right guess, except he's doing the anti-Price is Right because there were people at 1200. So he's just pinning himself. So he only wins in a 99-cent bin. But
high risk, high reward.
If that's your thing, right? Phil, if you would do the honors.
Oh, yes. I was about to say. And bada bing, bada boom.
What? There's going to be people that claim you cheated for sure.
I just
Brittle Page Man.
Cheater.
1801.
18 is my lucky number, so I really was just biased on that. So
well,
you go pound sand if you don't like it.
I think if we use Price is Right rules, it's probably Gorilla. Well, are we going to credit Cardtail with his giant? You pluck Collecting Chaos was at 1370, and Cardtail was at 1600 as the top end of the range, and then we had Brittle Page Man at 1801. So closest was Phil, followed by Brittle Page Man. But if we go Price is Right rules, it's I apologize if I missed you. I'm just scrolling through them. Collecting Chaos at 1370 and Cardtail at 1600. Well played. Well played. Dylan says overpaid. 96%. Now, if I had used last sale of 1400, it sold for a lot more than that, right? But I think the 12-month trailing was the correct number to use.
Was my guess in ignorance here, because I was here for the beginning part of the show, and I thought, forgive me, I thought it was about 1,000 per point in Universal. So that's how I based my guess. But you
know what, Phil, you caught the last thing that I said. That was the record paid.
Yeah,
that was not the average paid. Average paid was, I think, 1826, if I'm not mistaken.
I was second guessing myself, but I guess based in ignorance sometimes is a good guess. So all
right, here's a question for everybody: is it worth that? Let's do this while we think about whether or not it's worth it. Let's I'm going to do some show offs. We're going to ask everybody to give this show a thumbs up we're going to ask everybody to leave a comment on the show, not just in the chat, but an actual comment on the show. This is all in preparation for next week's show, which we're going to tell you about in a few minutes. And while we chat about that,
Professor Peter,
here's my raw copy.
Oh,
Let's
nice.
do this. You guys can guess the grades. What do you guys think?
Oh, that's a lovely copy.
It's nice, right?
Yeah,
is
that
a
was
nice
really
copy.
high grade, Dr. Paul.
That's a nice one. Yeah. Okay. We'll just go with high grade. It's really mid grade, if I'm being honest, but
It's like about a fine.
it's a
maybe?
nice. Yeah, I think actually it'll be a fine with a press. It's not quite there.
Ooh.
Here's my
Oh, wow.
Batman
Lovely.
155, first Penguin in the Silver Age. Also, pretty nice copy.
It is. That's a sharp copy.
That's a good looking copy.
Yeah. All right. Should I keep going?
Yes.
Sure, if you want, I can tell you want to.
Why? Not quite as nice on this one. Little bit of love on this book. Here's my Batman 171, first Riddler in the Silver Age. Again, this long gap between the last Riddler appearance and this one, the last Riddler in the Golden Age. I would love first appearance of the Riddler someday. That would be a big book for me. Why don't you guys guess the grade of this one?
Ooh.
Here's my
Careful.
Batman 180. This is my Batman 181.
Someone get the serial number quick and look up the.
Yeah, look it up really quick.
We got the number 12259. No, put it back down.
What do you guys think? Let's go. Jason's at 8.5. Who else wants to go?
Nah, you got high. I'm gonna go
The
9.2.
professor thinks I'm
Oh,
way
hey,
off. He's at 9.2. Phil's at 9.2. JCP's at 9.
I'm at 9.
Wow.
You got some high taste, Dr. Paul. I don't know.
Yeah.
You bought the nicest. one you could
If
get.
it was a crap grade, you wouldn't have bought it.
Yeah.
You guys think my pockets are deeper than they really are.
Oh, we got played.
7. It's a 7. There's a white line right here. There's a color breaking crease right there, but beautiful book nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you guys get to play this. You get to play this again. Here is my Lois Lane 70.
Ooh.
It's squared up nicely. Said blooded corner. Color looks good. The back looks good. What's going on down at that bottom corner in the back? I would say that's about a 6. 5.5 to 6.
That book is tough. That's a tough book.
See, look at that bottom corner right there at the edge.
Oh, I see on the left.
There's
Is
there's
that
big chip missing.
Is that a chip or is that like a
It's either chip or
mark?
fold. I can't
Is it
tell. Right?
distributor rank?
It's actually a chip. No, Larry's
Oh,
got
okay.
the truth of
Yeah,
it.
it's a chip.
Yeah, at a 6
Yeah.
there, you might be.
Yeah, I went 6. Yeah,
Oh
that's
man,
probably up there.
6.5. Yeah.
Larry's got everybody second guessing themselves. Everybody thought I was like a 9-0 baller.
Well, you are.
You guys ready for the
Yeah.
reveal?
I've seen
Yep.
you what you bought.
Guys ready for the reveal?
Yeah,
Yep.
let's see. 7. Okay.
Ah, a pair of 7s he's got.
Pair of 7s I got. And
I
Raw
love this book so much.
See, I love that cover. I had
God, it's
that
awesome.
at one time.
Batman
hate-
189.
I hated the Scarecrow as a child back then. It's terrifying.
I have my beat to heck reader copy from when I was a kid. My dad gave me still that one. It's nice.
All right. So that concludes our A segment. Again, thank you all for your attention on that. And we will thank you to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. And we're gonna jump into announcements time.
Can I just say something
Yes.
just for a more specific? Everyone, if you want to leave a comment on what your favorite Silver Age Batman villain key is. The ones that we went
No.
over before. If it's the Mr. Freeze, if it's Ivy, let us know.
Or
in the
tell me
comments.
that I'm a fool and it's Calendar Man. Bring it on.
Exactly. Or if
Egghead,
you like-
Egghead, come on, whatever you like.
at me.
Or say Batman stinks and Superman all the way. Whatever you want. We appreciate the guy. And in all seriousness, I was talking with Dr. Paul about this earlier. The comments that you guys leave on the videos, it really helps the overall views and engagement a couple days later. Those videos always get more views just because the comments give it out to more people, searching for content on YouTube. So, and we appreciate everyone watching and that leaves comments. Or even if you don't, we still appreciate you.
Jason, we got chastised by a viewer for making fun of Robin, so we're not doing that anymore. You have to stick with making fun of Archie, I think. All right. Phil, dude, can you do drum roll? I have to do drum roll. I'll do drum roll.
Yeah.
I got it. No, I'm going to do drum roll. We're launching a new show, folks.
Yeah, we're going to do a new show. It's not conservation. It is going to be talking about Golden Age books.
Same time and same place too. So, you don't have to change anything you're doing. We're just deviating a little bit into a different zone. So,
yeah.
Yep.
A little bit of an expansion of the show, and maybe we'll branch it off depending on how successful you guys think it is.
Next week's episode, instead of a conservation episode, is going to be discussion of this book. This is Captain America Comics #1. This is the San Francisco Pedigree. This is a 7-figure book, a deep 7-figure book. And we're going to talk a bit about this book. We're going to talk about the creators. We're going to talk about the cultural context. We're going to talk about this specific copy. We're going to talk about the San Francisco Pedigree. We're going to talk about where this sits within the hierarchy of Golden Age comics. And we're going to talk about where San Francisco sits in the hierarchy of pedigrees. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and I'm super excited for this. We've been talking about it for a while. One of the reasons we want to do a Golden Age show is because we just want to have a show that appeals to a broader audience. I think as much as we love all of the supporters of this show, we know that for every one person who's interested in comic book conservation, there's probably 100 or 500 people interested in Golden Age comics. And we are some of those folks that are interested in Golden Age comics. And we felt there were a lot of topics we wanted to get into that we thought would make really good content that were just not pertinent to conservation. And you see me sticking it in anyway. And I think people have responded positively to that. And we decided to just lean into it. So next week's episode, 1 week from today, is going to be the premiere episode of the Golden Age of Comics, our new YouTube live show. And I hope you will all join us. And I hope you will go out and talk to some of your friends who may not be interested in conservation, but may be interested in the Golden Age, and tell them to check out the channel, check out the show, join us live, join the chat, participate. And we're looking forward to seeing you there. So some details. Again, we're going to try it out next week, but our tentative idea is to alternate weeks. So every other week that we're live, we would either do conservation or the Golden Age show. Again, we're going to be focused on all things Golden Age. We have a lot of ideas, stuff we want to chat about, things we want to go over. I think there's also just a lot more content to talk about in the Golden Age as opposed to just conservation. We have access to many more co-hosts. So as you know, one of the things that motivates us is engaging the community. And you know that longtime viewers of the channel know that we have had many, many people from the comic book conservation community as guest hosts on the show. We've brought them in, and we just love sharing exposure and sharing ideas with other people. And there's only so many people doing conservation work that are interested in coming on the show. And there are many, many more possible co-hosts for the show. So we're already talking to some people that I think are just going to be dynamic and fun and entertaining and we'll learn from. So I'm super excited that it opens up the different possible co-hosts and the community building just exponentially over what we could do just with conservation. And again, I mentioned it's going to be next week's show is going to be our premiere episode. That's March 1st. We would love for you to send us ideas of what you'd like to see. You can leave them on the comments of this video. You can leave them in our Facebook group. You can DM us, however you'd like to communicate that. Gorilla Monkey 3K, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate that. I try to comment something relevant to show so it's searchable in the algorithm. Not surete, if it makes a difference, Durance. I mean, it probably does. So hopefully people are excited about that. Hopefully you don't see it as we're taking every other conservation episode away from you. You see it as something that will actually broaden our reach.
Indeed.
Again, my hope is that we will have some folks join us for the Golden Age show, really enjoy it, and then maybe they join us for this show. And so we grow this show's viewership and community outreach, which is a major goal of ours. So thoughts, comments, anything else that we want to say about that before we get to our next? We have we promised you 2 big announcements before we get to our next big announcement.
No, I think it's going to be fun. We're going to have some great surprise guests that are going to be coming on. Yeah. Some of them don't know that they're coming on yet, but they will. And, but yeah, we're not going to be talking about. We're not going to be talking about conservation. We're going to be talking about Golden Age books and their relevance in comic book history and how they apply today. Are they worth investing in? Are they? Should we walk past this particular one? These are the things we're going to be talking about, and please come join us.
Absolutely. Not to say like if you think you know Golden Age comics, you may not know them as well as you do. Because I've been collecting this since I was a kid, and I still have stuff come up where I'm like, wow, I've never seen this book. I had no idea why this was even done this way. Why they might have alternated, little things that make our hobby fun and exciting. And there's overlap between the conservation and the Golden Age. So if you're already here for the conservation and you've already seen a lot of the books and stuff we're working on, we think that you should at least tune in once and try, see if Absolutely. Maybe you like Golden Age more than you think you do.
I think I will personally be fanboying a lot more too, because I really love this stuff. It's, as many of you know, it's my main sort of collecting passion right now. So, yeah, for sure. Space Baby, welcome to the show. I don't have an answer for that, but we should have the professor back on to talk about it. I think the professor talks about this on his channel, and if I remember correctly, the matrix. So the gels are essentially like 98% by volume water, and then you have a protein polymer matrix. Or actually maybe not a protein. You have a polymer matrix that may be a saccharide. At any rate, the matrix pores, if you will, larger in the Gellum gum, if I remember correctly. But check out the professor's channel, or maybe the professor's still here and he can answer that.
I think Professor is still here, unless he got bored.
If you own Gerber Volume 1 and 2, you're going to love our show. We're going to be featuring Gerber books all the time. All right.
Classics Illustrated.
The foundations of our hobby. That's what the Golden Age is. Don't overlook that.
Okay. Special announcement number 2.
This one's big.
I don't think you guys are ready for this.
Show them.
Matt Nelson is joining us. He's going to join us on the March 8th show, which is our next conservation episode. That'll be episode 91 of this show. He's going to be answering your questions. So
send them to us.
He agreed to come on live. He agreed to a no holds barred question and answer session.
And that's not even the best of it.
I will be curating that, though. I will not.
Dr. Paul, is he coming on just once? Is this going to be like a more than once thing? I don't know.
It's going to be questions that we curate for content and for interest. But he's put no limits on what we can ask him. I reached out to Matt and asked him not to join us just for the next conservation show, which he's agreed to do, but to join us quarterly, which he's agreed to do. So what we're planning to do is have Matt on March 8th show, the conservation show. And then about 90 days later, every quarter, we intend to alternate. So about 90 days later, we'll have him on the Golden Age show. And then the following quarter, we'll have him back on the conservation show. And so when he comes on the Golden Age show, Matt Nelson, by the way, is a huge comic book fan. He's actually a super fan of pedigrees. He's writing a book right now. He's wrapping up actually writing a book right now on pedigree collections. He shared some of the data with me on the pedigree collections that they have at CGC. It's all going to be made public when he publishes his book. They'll eventually have a searchable database, but he shared a few snippets of the data with me. And I'm just super excited that he's agreed to be a regular part of the show. And in addition to, having a no holds barred, a no questions barred Q&A session with us, he's very much looking forward to being on the Golden Age show. So here's what we're going to do. We would like you to post questions for Matt, either here in the comments, in the Facebook group, the comic book conservation community. We would like to cut off questions 1 week from today. That's March 1st. We're going to do our first Golden Age episode on March 1st. We would like for you to wrap up any questions you have for Matt by then. That gives us time to curate the questions, pull out things we think are most interesting, and send them along to Matt so he, can kind of prepare. He can answer questions off the cuff, of course, but I'd rather he have time to prepare. We're going to prepare some materials as well. So like, just for example, if you have questions about tape, we're going to try to prepare maybe some images of different kinds of tape or whatever so that Matt can speak to it. Because obviously YouTube is a visual medium and we could do talking heads, but I think it's always better if we have, that's why we prepare. That's why we do put so much energy into the slide decks and everything for all of you. Because I think, we want to be prepared and have nice visuals for the commentary.
Can I just for people that don't know who Matt is, because that's one thing I don't think we necessarily.
Yeah, that's
so.
Probably... Matt
is the president of CGC, and so this is going to be a mouthpiece for CGC. So this is
he is the head grader.
Matt not only started his career as a conservator, Classics Incorporated. He was one of the pioneers with Kenny Sanderson of leaf casting, really. And he loves comics so much that he stayed in, and that's why he has centered himself as the president of CGC, and he's there for good reason. And I think that the three of us have been lucky enough to have correspondence with him regularly. And that's something that gets lost in translation sometimes. So this is going to be a good introduction for people that aren't as familiar with Matt. And you get to see what the three of us kind of get to experience with him and see how I think that he loves comics. He wants the best for comics. And he really is one of the best people that could be in the position that he's in as the president of CGC. I'll just say that. I'm not trying to ground nose him or anything, but I say this genuinely as a professional person.
This will be a great platform for you to ask your questions one-on-one with Matt, and He's very understanding. He answers very concisely. Very impressed, talking with him and how and observing him, how he talks to people. So get your questions ready, get them onto the channel, get them directly to one of us, and we'll make sure they get processed, and we'll get them to Matt, and he can answer them individually
Absolutely.
for you on the show. And
Yep.
so just remember, March 1st is your cutoff date.
Yeah. You do not have to super chat or do anything like that. You just have to have an interesting question. That said, we will be giving extra attention to questions sent in by our regular supporters, just because we like to show our appreciation. I'd like to say a few additional things about Matt. Again, Matt's a conservator. He's one of us, and there couldn't be a better place at the head, a better person at the head of CGC. But that said, specifically with respect to conservation, it was him who defined conservation and differentiated it first in the restored label, and then later as a standalone label. He's done more for comic book conservation than I think just about anybody.
Yep.
And I think we wouldn't even have our genre, our little corner of the sandbox, if not for Matt Nelson. So in addition to really defining it and then working out all of the rules and all the corner cases of how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to grade that? Not all of them are 100% fair, because it's not a perfect world. And you can always find a corner case where it's a little weird, but if you put yourself in his shoes and you work through it, in my experience, I've always come to the final conclusion that he came to. I've said, yeah, I don't love this, but the alternative would be worse. And so I get why we're here with this rule or that nuance or whatever. So I think he's put more thought into grading conservation, obviously, than just about anybody. There's huge sections in his book, the CGC, How to Grade Comics, on restoration and conservation, how to grade. A lot of the questions we field are just straight out of there. Like, if you read his sections carefully, the answers are there. He also was gracious enough to write the foreword for
he wrote the foreword
conservation book here. And, he really is one of us. He's really supported comic book conservators, this channel, me in particular, the guys here. And so we're just thrilled to have him on as kind of a regular feature. So I'm really looking forward to it. I would love for folks to send us some great questions. Matt is actually really excited to have an interactive show. He mentioned to me that he goes on other shows, but he said, I don't really want to have a show where it's just talking heads and just monologuing. I want to have.
He wants to answer your questions.
Yeah, and see a lot of people in the chat and interact with. So there it is. We promised you 2 exciting new announcements. I hope that we did not disappoint. But
you can sign off now.
I'm super excited. Yeah, I mean, I hope you could tell. I'm super excited. I guess even if no one's watching, I'll be thrilled to do the Golden Age show. I'll be thrilled to have Matt on. So hopefully,
it's gonna be huge. It really is. And Matt's been so gracious to come on. So
yeah, it is. What was I going to say? I think that there sometimes CGC gets lost in translation, and people say, why do you focus so much on that and not just the books themselves? Well, this could be an introduction to kind of showing that CGC isn't just a corporate entity. It isn't just something that exists just for the sole purpose of having our books be worth more money. There's someone at the helm there that truly loves and cares about comics and has been around working on them for a long time. So he might be able to convince some of the CGC naysayers that CGC is also comprised of people.
Show off.
And oh man, that's such a great one.
He's just showing off. Just ignore him.
No. What I'm actually doing is saying, look, because we get chastised for talking too much about CGC from time to time.
Yeah.
Only 2 of these 6 books are graded. You know, I like me some raw books. All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody's attention today. Let's thank our sponsors once again. This episode came to you live ad-free thanks to Salesboy Comics, Don Carter, Collecting Chaos, and Gorilla Monkey 3K. Thank you all. Give them a hand and go check out their channels, especially Collecting Chaos, who has a new video dropping tomorrow. And next episode, our sponsors for the premiere, first ever, the Golden Age of Comics live show, Collecting Chaos, Don Carter, Salesboy Comics, You Plucked My Last Comic, John Bingham of Lucan, and Gorilla Monkey 3K. Thank you all. Looking forward to it. Appreciate the lively chat. Appreciate all of you giving us the thumbs up here and leaving us a comment, telling us about
Collecting Chaos.
Telling us
Let us
about
know what you
Thanks,
think.
thank,
your
yeah,
favorite
thank you so
roads.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, come at me. Tell me how wrong I am. It'll be fun. Looking forward to seeing you all next week, not for the Comic Conservation Live show, but for the Golden Age of Comics live show. With me, Dr. Paul, Phantom Phil, and Captain Larry. And until then, take care of one another.
See you later, everybody. See you next week.